You have to own who you really are and express that to the world, because the minute you start trying to fit into other people's boxes, that is the minute that they no longer know who you are. You no longer know who you are, and you are no longer being true to you or authentic to who it is you came here to be. Hi, I'm Julia. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. This idea just came to me during a meditation. But really, if we aren't being true to ourselves and honoring who we are in our full authenticity, we are doing ourselves a disservice, and we are doing everyone we know a disservice, because they won't get to actually know who we really are and appreciate and love that person because we aren't showing them that person. So this is going to be another one of those videos where I just say whatever comes to me. And I honestly had no idea I was going to talk about this 2 seconds ago. I thought I was going to talk about something else, but I'm going to talk about that after, because I think this is really important. And if you hear a lot of noise, my neighbors are doing construction. They just moved out and it's been loud all day, and I've been a little frustrated, but they finally stopped drilling. So I was like, okay, let me press record. Right now they're moving trash cans. Anyway, the best way I can explain this is if you are presenting a false version to your friends or people that you're meeting, whether it's coworkers, family, or a potential significant other, you are going to have these relationships based off of lies. And you're only going to be able to keep this up for so long before you finally get exhausted and burnt out and can't keep this mask anymore. And then you end up doing what is called a bait and switch without even meaning to. Typically, we have good intentions when we're trying to put on that good first impression and show our perfect parts to the people that we're meeting and hide the other parts away. But in reality, that's actually setting us up for failure, especially when it comes to those really close friendships and those really close relationship connections. I've experienced this a lot in my life where I thought if I hide all the parts that are not favorable or deemed acceptable by society, I will have people actually like me. But I never gave them the chance to actually like me, because I was presenting them with a dulled down version of me, a version of me that hid all of the other parts. And some of those parts I was hiding were pretty great, and some of those parts were not so great, but I never gave people the chance to really get to choose me for the good and the bad. And that actually made my self-esteem way lower than it ever needed to be. And this is something I did for years in my childhood, up until the past few years, where I really just had to accept, you know what, I am who I am. I can't keep trying to hide these bad parts and only showing these good parts. I am a whole person, which means I contain the light and the dark. I contain the negative and the positive. I contain the masculine and the feminine. I contain both, and so do you. The unfortunate part about all that is when you can't accept your dark sides and integrate them in with your light sides, then they become your shadows, and they seep out in backdoor ways that you don't even realize. Like, you might not even realize you're doing a certain manipulation, or you're doing a certain habit that's really unhealthy for you because you thought you got rid of that part of you when you suppressed it. But you can't ever get rid of any parts of you. They're still going to be there. Maybe they can stay suppressed for a little while, but like I said, they will seep out in other ways. When I was in my most toxic relationship, it didn't start off that way in the beginning. In fact, I came off as this really chill girl who was go with the flow, good with whatever, until I wasn't. And then it was, oh, I'm not okay with this, I'm not okay with that, I'm upset about this, I'm upset about that, because I was accepting things that I actually wasn't okay with in the beginning. And I reached a tipping point when I was finally in a relationship where I couldn't take those things anymore. And guess what? Because of the law of mirroring, or the law of attraction, I attracted a partner exactly like me who also bait and switched from the beginning, where certain things he was doing and being and presenting himself as wasn't actually who he was. And we both got to experience those hidden parts of ourselves, because they can only stay hidden for so long, especially if you're in a very close relationship where you're seeing that person every day, every night, 24/7 for weeks at a time. Of course, that relationship didn't work out, which was for the best, but it did teach me that I can't keep doing that. And that carried over into my work. It carried over into my Snapchat. I've been Snapchatting my life basically 24/7 for a year and a half. And sure, there's some things I don't share with the internet because you gotta keep some stuff personal. But at the end of the day, what I do share with the internet is what I'm passionate about, what I genuinely like. And I don't fake things or make up stuff to make myself seem cooler or more entertaining. You know, sometimes we add some things in because I'm like, ooh, I think the audience will like this, but I also like this. It's not like I'm saying, here, buy this product that I really don't like, but I'm gonna promote it because they're gonna pay me, which I'm sure almost every influencer has done at one point in the beginning of their career when they were excited about getting a brand deal. I'm sure I have. I haven't done a brand deal in years, but I used to do a lot back in the day, and who knows if I liked every product I promoted. If I'm being honest, that's the truth. I don't know. They were paying me a lot, and I had a manager who was also like, make that money. We do what we do to get by. And at the same time, when we're able to reach that point where we can look at everything as a whole and be like, do I really want to be doing this? That's when we can actually start to make the changes. I built a whole YouTube career over things that I thought would get views. And yes, a lot of it I actually did enjoy. I love doing skits, I love doing videos in general, and I do enjoy beauty and DIY to an extent. Because there came a point where I was doing this DIY stuff and I really didn't want to be doing it. I was just doing it thinking, okay, people are gonna watch this, perfect. And eventually that ran its course, I got burnt out and I couldn't continue to do it because it just wasn't for me anymore. In the beginning, yeah, sure, of course it was. But eventually when I grew out of it and kept doing it, that's where I was denying my true self. Sometimes we don't even realize we're doing it because we're so used to masking and hiding and shielding those parts of ourselves from the world. But the best way to know that you are doing that is to look at who you are in private, how you behave, what you enjoy, what brings you joy, what makes you really upset, and then look at how you act in the world. Maybe you do it with some people and not other people. Maybe there's people you're very comfortable being yourself with, but then there's other people that you're not. And you have to use discernment because sometimes there are people in this world who will hurt you physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually for just being who you are. And you have to decide whether that's worth it or just mask it when you're around them for those short periods and avoid them as much as possible, versus just be who you are and deal with the consequences. I'd say most of the time just being who you are and dealing with the consequences is better than having to wear a mask, but there's some occasions where you just kind of have to wear that energetic mask just to get by for the time being till you can get somewhere else. And I totally respect that. I don't know your situation, and everyone's circumstances and situations are different. So that's why I bring it to you to use your own discernment about when and where you can be your free, truest self. And sometimes I realize that we're so conditioned to not be that full authentic version that even when we are by ourselves, we're still trying to hold that back. And you'll notice it when really strong emotions come up, deep triggers. When you go into those triggers and you go into those emotions, that's where you can find those little lost parts of you from childhood that you buried away so that you could get love and your needs met from your caretakers. Truly, it's not our fault that we do this, but it's something that we have been socially conditioned to do. And just because something is considered normal or part of social conditioning doesn't mean we should continue to do it. If we can become aware of it, then it is to our benefit to change this and allow ourselves to step more into our authenticity day by day, moment by moment. It will be hard to change these patterns that we have, but it's worth it. It's worth it to live a life of truth and to live a life of real connections with as many people, beings, things that we connect with as possible. Like I said, if we don't even know who we are, if we can't even express who we are, maybe we don't know fully, but if we're not even allowing ourselves to express ourselves to the world, no one will ever truly know us and no one will be able to actually love us for who we are. It isn't until we allow these expressions to be expressed that we will be able to fully enter a self-loving place. By expressing these parts of ourselves, I don't mean causing harm to others. That's never something that is true to us. But pain might come up, sadness might come up, anger might come up, and it will need to be expressed in healthy ways. And again, you're gonna have to use your discernment to figure that part out because it will be different for everyone. But really, I think the more we can allow ourselves to be uninhibited and allow the energy and emotion to flow through us, we will actually learn to love ourselves more, and it's gonna make more people love us. The goal isn't to get others to love us, but it's to get ourselves to love ourselves enough that we radiate love out to everyone, and that love will come back because of the law of mirroring, like I said before. So all that being said, this begs the question, where are you holding yourself back? I want you to ask yourself that and leave a comment down below letting me know what you come up with, and I will see you in next week's video. I love you guys so much. Bye.